Testing. All right, sounds good. Put that back on mute. And hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy short week. I have been doing some day trading. Wait for some people to come in. Sold some more peeling off shares for winners. Doesn't get better than that. I know my sound is good because I heard myself, so I put myself back on mute. Boy, did I get a gift over the weekend. Sometimes you get lucky. Rumble's the stock I've been playing a lot of, and I just really loved this pullback. I've been talking a lot about contrarian entries. I was expecting it to go here. It didn't, so I sold it and I watched and I watched and I go, oh, you know what? Look at that little doji after 3 days. I took some home on Friday and it was a 10% position. Boy, did I get lucky on the news. And so how did I play this? All right. So I thought about, getting up in the middle of the night. I looked at it, but I just went back to bed. I said, I'll sell a quarter on the open. So I sold a quarter on the open and let it wiggle around. I said, look, this thing wants to go. If this thing can get to 12, I'll take another quarter off of 12. That's my story. And rum, if I still have one half left, and this is really important, this is a huge technical gap up, big news investment from Tether. I just think there's big things to come in this space, and the way in which the stock is behaving here intraday is just fine by me. Look at that, my 10 SMA. Let's talk about the 10 SMA. As more people file in here, they were nice enough to invite me on Trader TV Live a week and a half ago, and my thesis, my story was holiday madness, silly season. And I said there's probably going to be a couple of smaller cap sectors such as AI, nano nukes, and quantum that might just do what happens every year. Brian Chen and I talk about this. A lot of the seasoned traders have some of our best days right now, and I'm certainly having one with rum and some of the day trades I've been taking in those sectors, knowing that there's just something about this time of year. Maybe institutional desk is at home not selling. Retailers are at home on their Robinhoods and other accounts, and they're just pounding away because they don't have to work. I don't know, for whatever reason. So I'm in a couple of these things. I'm going to talk about BBAI. This is a fresh day trade this morning. I looked at it. I looked at it. Andy told me he had bought it. Sometimes that's just the best scan, is having Brian Shannon and Andy in my ear. And I go, oh, I'll take it right here. And this was it on the daily. And so I faded out. And then I want to tell you something. I bought whatever I faded out. I bought a lot of it back right here because the daily chart was clean and I'm in a day trading mood. And so what I sold up here, I bought back at my 10 SMA. I just preach religiously in here about the 10 SMA. Somebody can let me know, by the way, if you hear me. Just say hello in the chat so I know. So I'm trading around here on the 15-minute chart intraday on an AI stock. It's in play. It's silly season. It's Christmas week. It's just this always seems to happen with some smaller hot sectors. Hey, Midway, whatever hot sector comes in and strong, it stays strong. It actually goes into freaking turbo mode in this time of year. So there's that. And then the quantum qubits. I looked at qubits at just the perfect time because it's on my watch list. I clicked it over here. I said, oh, well, look, qubits is strong. Click. And I saw it right here. And so I've just been jacking back and forth on that. And I actually do have a stop in here because I knew I had to go live. So there's a stop down around here in qubits. If it doesn't want to go, it doesn't want to go. That's the daily. OKLO. There we go with the nano nuke sector I talked about. This was probably my best entry of the day. This is actually the trade of the week, which did not trigger. This is the open, and it didn't trigger. I watched it and I watched it. And I go, oh my God, I cannot resist the rising 130 SMA, which is a 5-day moving average. I cannot resist that entry. Andy and I both took this entry right here. I've been fading out. I've got 2/3 left. All right, I see a question from Midway. Yeah, signed up for my YouTube channel. God, you know what, Midway? I'm mad at myself because we sold that channel to a marketer. Andy and I went to work for Trade Ideas, and we don't need the Trade Ideas brand anymore. We sold it to a marketer. They sold it to another marketer. And I've always had the luxury of going back and looking at the old videos that were on there, including the ones where I was playing bass. And I'm just so mad that I didn't download those and archive those and save those, because now they're gone. I'm so mad. I can't recreate those, but thanks for bringing me back to that memory. Today Trader video replay service. Yeah, Andy and I were one of the first people to do it. I probably recognize your name, but thanks for that. I'll have to let Andy know. That's very cool. It was something he and I were doing for the students in China, where the technology of WebEx was just coming out. And so he turned it into like an enterprise deal and opened it up and leveraged the YouTube videos that I was making, because I was making bass playing videos, and the YouTube videos where I would lose money and learn from the losses. And I realized that was much more educational. You were able to make more than 1 million trading stocks, and each day I still use a lot of the concepts you and Andy talk about back then. I'm probably going to get Trade Ideas next year. That's freaking awesome. I got to tell Andy to come in here and read that. That is awesome that you're doing. I'm gonna screenshot that. That's a great testimonial. Let's save that. Third sentence, which I have not read yet. I've been savoring the first two. Yeah, not much has changed really. You know, I just see that blue line I was just talking about. That's something new. Probably we weren't talking about back during the Today Trader time. But yeah, the 10 SMA on the 15-minute chart, we've been doing that for a while just to keep it simple. Is there any broker that offers zero commission and routing fees? I would say you want to go with. See, Interactive Brokers has zero, but if you're going to use the auto trading, that's an API hookup, and they charge a little bit of fees for that on the commission side. Now, we're working with a broker called Alpaca, and Alpaca, their value service is saying that we will do automated trading and API for free. So they found a way to make money and still offer like the API. So if you haven't heard of Alpaca, just like it sounds, the animal, you can go check that out. And that one is going to integrate with the Brokerage Plus and not charge the fees that you may want. I don't like talking about it too much. I'll leave that up to Dan. He talks about it incessantly, but yeah, this money machine Alpaca is what you want. Pepe's got it. The money machine is a concept. It's still in, it's moved beyond proof of concept. It's now in sim testing, and we're going to be live testing it internally soon. It's kind of what the product, should be, but all along, but it took a while to get there. It's leveraging, the pre-maps that you see here. These are just basically top lists. I can turn that off, and that's the old school view, but we can show tree map. And, you know, what if the concept is the money machine? What if we could integrate into Brokerage Plus based on the sorting of my tree map? You know, if it was a more active tree map, you know, what would it look like? Let's see if I've got an example running here. I turned that one off. I went short. That was the wrong call. But the point being is that, you know, these are the trades. This is the concept. I tried something different this morning. Just disregard that. I tried shorting. I'm going to turn the shorting off. Strategy long. So this is the behind the scenes stuff that we're testing. So what I can do now is I can just go and I can clear out these trades and start over. But the point being is that we're moving to this in hopefully early 25, and will allow people to really automate and kind of be in cruise mode, staying in the top 3 stocks or 5 stocks. You can configure that based on change from the open, change from the last 5 minutes, you know, whatever you want. And it's still in the testing phase. We want to make sure we do it right. So Pepe is right. Alpaca is got the kind of the front running spot in terms of, you know, what the user can expect to get for not having to pay a lot of fees. This is the manual developers mode. I'm just going to reset this thing and say, okay, there we go. Let's get rid of that. All right, now I can turn on right along. Play. That's the operative word. Now you see boom, boom, boom. So these stocks come in direct. They were the top 3 on this particular scan, which is, I'll show you. Biggest gainers change last 30 minutes. I'm not going to touch any of that. I'm going to let this continue to run. And so those are the 3 current stocks. Boom, boom. FTEL. So another one was bought. So this is the concept here, Midway, of what's to come. All right, let me check some more positions here. This QBTS is not working. I've got to, oops, yeah, I've got to reset my connection there a couple times. Here we go. This is probably going to trigger. Unfortunately, that's just not hanging in. Matter of fact, I'm just going to bail on that one. I'm not even going to wait. Bye. Why did I do that? Well, for one, I'm focused with you guys, but 2, I'll do this every time. This needed to hold. I bought the stock with the predicate that it was going to hold that as a solid floor. Well, this first candle here closed below, and this thing is definitively below. I'm not going to stick around. This is giving way. This pinch play right there, there's the 10 SMA, and that's a solid brick wall. That needed to do that. It didn't do that. I'm in day trading mode, so we're taking a loss on that. Let's see what Brian wants. I think he's thanking me for pointing out Oklo. Let him know I can't chat. Okay. He said he went with NNE. He liked that one better. Again, these are the nano nuke plays, and it's nice to have traders in your ear sometimes. Okay, hello. Hi, the money machine. Can you choose from the top 3 to trade, or all of them must trade? So I'll go back into the developers version here. Let me get through that. Okay. So as it stands, this is kind of the settings that are being played around with. And so here's the test account that I'm in. So a trade I was in, NVI was halted. Let's just check that for a second and see what's going on there. So there's NVNI moving up. Okay, so as Dan likes to point out, this is kind of the concept. How can I get into a trade that's going to halt? We never know when a trade's going to halt. However, this money machine is kind of sniffing out trades that are moving quickly and might have a really good chance to halt. So that in mind, we can go to the menus here and look at a couple things. First off, trading on biggest losers, biggest gainers. If we wanted to trade something slow, we're going to offer like the NASDAQ 100. And believe me, that's like watching the paint dry compared to some of these things like biggest gainers. And then we could even take it more. You might like this. Dan likes to use change in the last 15 minutes. Maybe you're trading the gappers. Maybe you want to trade the gappers short, right? That's a strategy that might be available to you. So you're seeing what I'm showing you here is kind of the beginnings of not just a preset one size fits all for you guys. Some of you guys might be really comfortable looking at a list of stocks that gapped up, but then letting the money machine keep throwing you in shorts, assuming you can get those shorts in the biggest losers from the gap. So that's a concept right there. Change from the open is another good concept, but we're finding change in the last 30 minutes and change in the last 15 minutes kind of seem to be the hot hand, just so you know. Now we've got reverse on protective stop. If you want to reverse on a stop, you can do that. And I think Dan likes to run that. I'm not running that currently. If I wanted to, I could turn that on. And then reverse on a trailing stop. So there's different ways in which, you can go the opposite direction if you want to. So as you can see, Dan is kind of creating a lot of options for traders to be able to configure what it is exactly they want to run through that money machine. And even more importantly, it doesn't have to be 3. Max trades 5, max trades 3. You can adjust those. You can adjust your initial stops. So if you haven't seen that yet, that's kind of a tease of what's to come. So good question, Midway. A lot of times I don't want to say short wouldn't apply to that one, but let's say that won't apply either. Let me just bring up an actual scan. You're welcome. That doesn't matter. We'll just use this because it's all the same. So configure. There's a workaround for filtering out ETFs. If I never want to have any biotech stocks come through, okay. Well, for the ETFs, we'll get to that in a second. The easy hack on the ETFs is saying, do they have earnings? No, they do not have EPS. So if we put an EPS filter in there and spoof it by saying to the negative downside 1 and to the positive upside, that right there is a workaround hack in our configuration that will filter out any ETF from coming through. Now, unlike over here, this is nothing but ETFs. So this is my sector list. And so, we have what's called the symbol list. And I'm only pointing towards a list I created. Now, in your case, if you don't want to see a lot of biotech stocks, you can start to create symbol lists with those biotech stocks you don't want to see. And then you can exclude the following lists, and you start checking off, handfuls of stocks you don't want to see. And that's how you can kind of custom configure a scan to not show you things. And then, of course, once you do something like that, you always want to save your layout, your default layout, to save the changes, because it's a real bummer when you make those changes and they don't stick. Not to be confused with the cloud link. Like you can share, like I could share this particular short squeeze scan here in its current form using cloud links. Where'd it go? it is. Copy. And then I can just paste it, and that becomes an actual URL that you can right click and load from the cloud. I don't want that sort menu. All right, let's see how some. Ooh, NNE's going to highs. How's my Okla? I've got a standing order to sell some more Okla. Let's see. Yeah, I do it. 2146. So I'll just take this. And I know that, right there, I've got an order to sell more. And there's nothing more fun than having an order get hit when you're not even paying attention. Can't get that, whatever. All right. There you go. There's Andy. If you're around this week, Andy will be taking over on Thursday. Let's see. DJT's on highs. I'm in some of that. And how's that? I've got a standing order in BBAI. Ooh, look at it. It's flirting with that 10 SMA still. Oh, and it just dropped. What the hell was that? Bad tick. It was a bad tick. Oh, yeah. So that's very cool. You were a replay guy. Kind of like Michael Noss. He saw us early too. Okay, that's funny you say that because that's what I've been doing too. Has been trading around core positions, trade arounds. I mentioned earlier, SMR was probably one of the first that I really started doing this with these big moves back here. So we had immediately we had the gang of three, Oklo and SMR and NNE, and then those started to kind of die. Hopefully they're coming back here as we speak today, after testing the 50-day moving average. And then it became the AI stocks. AI came alive, and Sound and BBAI is the one I've been watching here closely today. I need this to hold. If it doesn't, if this is a good example, guys, live. I got 6 minutes. If this candle closes red under this rising 10 SMA, I'm just going to take what I have and fold the rest and call it a day. I need this candle to hold that moving average for higher prices. Otherwise, I'm taking my day trade and moving on. After selling a good 2/3 up here, trying to get cute with some of it back here, I'm just going to take what I can get, because for me, the best moves are in the first half of the day. Oh, yeah, the Fed news. That was a fun day. I was clearing the decks on that one. I hated that day. And it did bounce. But you're like a mirror of me over here, Midway. It's kind of funny. We're having the same experience. Maybe it's all that osmosis we peeled off on you. Let's look at BTDR. I won't tell you the nickname for that one. Okay. I see something definitive here. So it was a great trade around stock. Exactly. This is why I use those closing candles. You see that first closing candle? At the end of the day, if my stocks are closing under a key moving average, I use that closing end of day 5 minute period to make the decision keep or toss. That would have kept me out of a bad second day. Now what happens is once they break the 20-day SMA in red, I'm calling the backstop. They will oftentimes use that as a backstop and pop right back into play. However, we now have 3 definitive little candle wicks here above the curling 10 SMA. And this is just, it's textbook for me. It's what I see simply. And because of that, I call that like the armpit. You're kind of stuck under the armpit here. And now you're basically probably just going to be bouncing around between this range. Now, if we zoom in, we use that 5-day moving average that we hadn't talked about back in the Today Trader days, but we're using a lot of today. And this is nothing more, again, than a simple moving average set to 130 periods. And by doing that, it divides perfectly into 5 days, 130 candles, and we get this smoothed out 5-day moving average. And this I just kind of call the general level of interest for the intraday time frame. And you can see the price has gotten close to, but it keeps getting repelled by this sloping downward. This downward slope is starting to really just, this is basically showing me it's near-term pressure. It's under near-term pressure. Now what you need is as soon as possible to get back above and close above this 5-day SMA, which would translate nicely for you on the daily and get you back above the 10 SMA there. So you're kind of in limbo here. You really need to resolve this range that you got going there. So hope that helps. Nathan, I have so much money trading options, or did you mean to say I have lost so much money or I've made so much money? I don't know. How can I get a living out of 50,000? Seriously, I'm on disability. Well, there's nothing easy about trading. So trying to crank a living out of trading is probably extremely hard. And I would not tell you otherwise. Myself and Andy and the others, we have a secondary income. Okay, lost. Yeah, you've lost money trading options. I don't trade options. They're very tricky and they're very alluring because of the leverage that you get. And you do see a lot of people out there probably talking about it and they're trading weekly options. Well, those things expire really, really quickly. And so I've always just traded the ETFs. I like the leveraged ETFs, like, SQQQ or TZA or TNA, but I kind of recoil a little bit when somebody says I need to make a living and I have this much. And I say that because it's a mental game. And when you start putting that much pressure on yourself, I've been there. It can work, but then it can quickly change if you have to have money to pay the bills. I would say you want to approach this as kind of more of a supplementary side gig or a separate income. The best thing you can do is come to these sessions. Myself and Andy, we're here and we've been doing it a while, and we can tell you what to not do. I can tell you never be the one chasing the herd. Try to be the one who's anticipating the herd. Again, I'll go back to this OKLO entry. I know this stock. I like this stock. It's part of the nanonuclear family. So right off the bat, there's a knowledge of sectors that you need to know which ones are in play, right? Just like the AI sector, SOUN and BBAI that I'm in right now. It's not looking that good. Let's see what time. I'm going to probably have to cut this. Let's see. Hang on a second. Bear with me. Stop is at let me cancel. I'm just going to put a stop in that one at 28. I don't like the way it closed below. So it just gave me a signal candle, and I don't like to see that. This is a closing 15-minute candle definitively below the rising 10 SMA. So now I'm not interested in the stock anymore. I'll give it 2 more cents. and I can turn my back. Yeah, 1 more cent. I could turn my back and focus on something else. I'm all right, Mara. I'm glad you are. Yes, Nathan, you just want to don't be in a hurry. You want to absorb things slowly. But I think I was on this concept of OKLO, being the contrarian, not being the person to chase. Right? You see on this daily chart what happens to the people that chase way up here. You get these wicks and it reverses on you and you lose money that way quickly. And if you're in options, you lose money even quicker. But this is why I use just what did yep, I just got stopped out of BBAI and I can continue my thought. This is why I use just these two simple indicators. Look at the correlation here, you guys. Support. After being resistance, it becomes support. A little sloppy, but support. So I know I can lean on this as an entry, and that's exactly what I did. I leaned on this as an entry, and it's so far been the best day trade I've had. Strong sector. My timing, this is the jump rope. Do not be the one, Nathan, I can tell you one thing. Do not be the person buying a gap up double green bar like that. It can save you a ton of movie. Andy's been trading BTDR all the time. I'll tell you what, he'll be happy to talk more about it on Thursday. If you come by on Thursday, he can give you even some more insight on it. He has told me a lot about that one. I think Brian Shannon's been in that one a lot too. I haven't touched that one as much as those guys. Let's see, do I have an offer out in Oklo? I do at 46. So it's maybe closer to take a little bit closer to taking a bit more profit in Oklo. Well, that's right. He remembers, look at this. Yeah, that's what we used to say. There's only two things you can control is your share size and your attitude about that. Because the market and the chart doesn't care about where you are, how many shares you have, or what mood you're in. Okay, SMR is going to highs. Yeah, that's something I want to see. That's in the nano nuke family. All right, we can talk about this. Look at the 5-day simple moving average coming down and putting a lid on it. And so if you bought there, you were kind of anticipating and you got slammed back down. But eventually this might flatten out and it's still got some headwinds on the daily. But I would expect if you were long SMR, I'd be selling a little bit more right there only because I expect everybody else to be selling right there. Nathan, what is it that you would want me to copy and paste on? I mean, do you mean like the settings of my chart? If that's the case, I mean, yes, I can give you the settings to my chart this easily. And again, the way you open that is you would like right click on that link that I just dropped. And when you right click the mouse, you say copy link address. And then once you've copied that link address, you can just do the load command here. Should be it. There it is. And so I brought up a duplicate. So yeah, if there's anything you want, like I've already shared this scan. There's nothing in this scan. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't usually sit and wait for a scan to tell me to do something. I've just got a family of stocks that I'm watching and a couple of favorite indicators that I use. And that's all I really need. But I understand that doesn't work for newer people that want to learn too. So scans certainly help. I can tell you this watch list is important. Where'd it go? If I click on the heart button on the chart, it'll load the stock into this window. Removing it is another story for another day, but these are always, anything on here I probably played in the last month. And I can see, oh, okay, and a lot of times I'm just looking through my wheelhouse of ideas, the things I like to play, like Midway mentioned, he has his go-to stock, BTDR. And there's a family of them, data processing, crypto. Okay, so what are the other crypto names? That's an important thing to know. Well, Hive is supposedly one of them, but that looks like a terrible chart. Riot is supposed to be one of them, but I'll tell you, I don't trust these things lately. And maybe it's worth mentioning. They're on my list of do not trades. I don't know what it is, but they just can't get out of their own way. They can't follow through these crypto names. So I don't trade them anymore. Let's see, I'm down to just a few names now. So I've had a successful day trading, getting out of the stuff that's not working. But I still have some OKLO I'd like to thin out of. You know what? I'm just going to, that's close enough right there. I'm just going to change that order, thin out of a little bit more. I only got half left now. But there was absolutely no pain in that entry. When you chase stocks, it's probably not long before you start to experience the pain of the first pullback, and then you're immediately underwater. Whereas I was really never underwater in this one. Okay, ASTS. Thank you. I missed that. Let's take a look. Boy, it's having a really hard time, isn't it? It was certainly doing some magic back here, bouncing off the 10-day, bouncing off the backstop of the 20, exploding again. Beautiful consolidation off the 10-day, exploding. And then once it broke the 20, it just got trapped and ensnared every time it tried to make a move. So it's almost like you can look back in the history and see the personality in 12 easy chapters here. The personality is that it tries, but there's some sort of selling power in there that just says it's not ready. So I would give you this. The way I use the 5-day blue line here on the intraday is the same way I use the blue line on the daily. And you can almost see that's the line in the sand. It doesn't like to spend too much time above this 50-day moving average, does it? So I'll come back to that. So because of that, and you can see this double wick here right at the 50, it's just, I mean, that was almost like a statement. You will not close above the 50 SMA, and then it just bleeds back down here. So until the stock can get back above the 50 SMA with some conviction, and not only get above it, but as you can see, hold it and build above it, I won't give the stock a clean bill of health until it can do that. And Brian, again, my friend Brian says he uses the 50-day SMA as a general bill of health. And it's telling me this thing still has a cold. It's still unhealthy. There's still something wrong with it. So I hope that helps. Nolani Key. All right. I think I'm all caught up. And pretty good crowd here for a holiday week. Again, if you kind of missed it, I was on Trader TV a week and a half ago talking about the silly season and how every shortened week going into Christmas and the week itself, there's certain sectors that are just darlings and they go from good to just turbo mode good. And, some of those sectors are, the AI sector, um, not so strong today there. the nano nuke sector. There goes NNE leading the way. Brian liked that one the best. I'm still in half of OKLO, moving through highs nicely. So I see a little hitch right here at 22. So I'll offer somewhere there. Actually, I like to go at 99, 21.99. So they have to go through me to get to the round number of 22. So nano nuke is a strong sector. And then the AI, what was the other one? Oh, the quantums. They started off strong. And Cubits is still up 22%. Ah, dang it. Got jerked out of this one. I'm jumping back in. Screw it. I'll do that sometimes. I feel like it really still wants to go. If it can clear this $8 level, this thing could really, I'm not going to talk anybody into anything. RUM is on highs. Ah, okay, that's helping. All right, Market Explorer, good question. Midway, Market Explorer was built by Michael Noss. Excuse me. You got to open it and then right click and then select strategy. Now it's just a literal cheesecake factory of menu items, depending upon what time frame you want, what you're looking for. Ripster has some scans down here. I saw somebody earlier. And then TradeWave. Let me show you TradeWave. So if we go to TradeWave buy, I need to go to my chart here, I believe, and turn on that FX TradeWave. Now I've got this cloud with Bs and sells, buys and sells, which is great for any of my watch list type stocks. What does Qubits look like? The one I just jumped back into. Okay, it's still a buy on the 15-minute. But some people say, well, I don't know what to look for. And so this is one of the sub-menus there. And supposedly there's going to be ideas on here that have a buy tag coming into. So there's many different directions you can explore. It's definitely a rabbit hole of ideas in the TradeWave menu there, Midway. Just depends on what you're looking for. And there's no real semblance sometimes. You'll notice that you might see things sneak in there that are a couple days old even. Pattern recognition, bull flag, okay. But those are all from today. That's not bad. You can sort based on positions. You can do some sorting in here. But according to that, these are all bull flags on the daily chart, supposedly. Okay, bull flag, not bad. I mean, this lines up with me. There's just too many ideas, but I see that 10 SMA kicking the price higher on a daily strong chart, and that's interesting. Oops, I was on mute. I was saying I put a price alert here above 8 just to let me know if something happens on this trade. Likewise, I don't want this one to go off. So I'm kind of defining my day trade range here. And I'm guessing, thinking that maybe this thing can move higher. We'll see. It's just no. Rum has a pretty good short percentage, I think, like 21% short the float in rum. That's not certainly hurting the buy side. Can you turn them and do your own scan in a separate window? I don't think so. I don't think that's done because it's built on a completely different module than the typical configuration window. These are the strength alerts, he calls them. These were Michael's ideas. I mean, if anything, I would just come through and just say, these are interesting looking charts. And then you start doing a 1-2 punch. The whatever menu item you choose on the Market Explorer, then you just marry it up with price alerts of where you want to see something. Create price alert in the chart. Because there's really nothing you can do. Trade, no, show. So duplicate into dock window. Launch a stock race. No, there's nothing that you can really change from there that is not an option. You know, I don't scan for them as much. I know I had that scan that was, it kind of worked for a while, but then it stopped working. Things would like go to highs and then they would fail again. So what I've been known to look at, but I don't use currently would be, let's see, gap. Anything with a 10 SMA in it. Pull back to the 10 SMA daily. I've already got that. Pull back to the 10 SMA 15. Let's load this. So I kind of evolved from what you're talking about, Midway, to something more like this. So we're going to look at the 15-minute chart, and that arrow is pointing to a pullback of a strong stock at the 10 SMA. We can also scan for pullback to the 130 SMA, which I have that as well. But if we were to just look at what came through today, the blue arrows would supposed to show up when the strong stock pulls back. You see this stock here on the daily chart. I still look for the horseshoe. I don't scan for it, but I would look at this and say, oh, this is interesting. It's starting to try. And so once I see that, I'll know that if it's strong and the 10 SMA catches up to it, that likely I'll be in these things early is what I'm getting at than before. Rather than waiting for it to clear that U, I'll be in it, riding it up to the U and then taking profits as it breaks through the U. So I've kind of changed my time frame on that a little bit, but I still, incorporate that into what I see, what I want to do with it. Let's see. Well, back to the 130. I wonder if I have that. Let's use 130. That's probably it. Let's try that. So this is a scan that looks for pullbacks into that blue line, that 5-day moving average. Ooh, look at that. That's juicy. I'll share this with you, Nathan, and whoever wants it. This is the history. Nothing really came out today, but remember how I was patting myself on the back for what a great entry Okla was for me on that 130 on that blue line? Still am looking at it. Well, GameStop did the same thing and it triggered, hey, 29.79, bang, it touched that right there. That's an interesting entry. So let's put this back on real-time mode. It's called slam into the 130 because it was designed for things moving up. So what I can do is I can change it to something more meaningful. Pull back. to the 130 SMA. 15-minute. That kind of tells the story. And of course, I can share this, and anybody else, you can load this and watch it. You don't have to trade it, but just kind of observe and see would those have been good entries in real time. And there you go. I dropped that scan in the chat. Once more, if you're not sure what to do with it, I'm right clicking and I'm saying right click, copy that link. All right, I've copied the link. And then on Trade Ideas, you just go load from the cloud. And if it doesn't already pop in there, you can just load it in there. And there, ta-da. Position it and then save your layout, and then you'll always have it. But that would have been a decent entry. So yeah, I've got things on the shelf that maybe I don't use anymore, but still the concept remains the same. You still have to trade the setup. Trade Ideas can give you the setup in real time, but you got to determine what's the market doing, what's the sector doing, what time of day is it, is there earnings coming up, is there news? RUM's up 90% now. Wow. Take it. That Qubits I jumped into is doing nothing. I also did buy some Kodak. Here's a good example of a stock that I like the story, but it's really working off a lot of sideways action. And you see that blue line right there? That's literally a stop. If this thing wants to roll over and close down there, I don't want to be in it. I need today to hold. Today's the day. The 20-day SMA and the 10 SMA are converging. This thing needs to show me that it wants to move higher. If it's going to drip down here, I don't want to be in it. That'll close moving higher. I've got an order up there. We're at 99. And again, I mean, contrarian. You have to be contrarian. If you're chasing the herd and not being contrarian, you're just going to get chopped to bits. I probably can't give a more real-time, real-life, live money demonstration of the genesis and the thought process of this entry. After all these sell candles, it made perfect sense for me to take a chance here. Even on the daily chart, that was the bottom of my 10 SMA. It has to take an in-breath before it can, pull the arrow back and fire up again. So there's no better feeling than being contrarian in the entry and then fading out. I mean, this would be my fourth level ladder, peeling off winners, small bits. There's no better feeling as a trader than being on the right side of a move and you're contrarian. You've got what everybody else is reaching up and was afraid to buy down here, but they're chasing it now. And you just start to get into that rhythm. You can't go wrong eventually, no matter what time frame you're doing it. I'm playing in the 15-minute time frame here. All right, guys, does anybody have one last question before I got to go? Tomorrow's a half day. If you're a regular, we're not going to be able to get away tomorrow. There's just too many people off tomorrow. Andy will be back Thursday. Wednesday's a market holiday. Tomorrow's a half day. The markets should close at 1 Eastern tomorrow. Maybe this will work for me after all, this QBTS. I remember I got stopped out for a small loser earlier, but I'm not too proud to jump back in. And I don't feel like there's a chase here after my little sermon about being, contrarian. I'm still taking a gamble here. I'm not waiting for it to break out and buying it up here. I'm trying to anticipate all scenarios This over here looks pretty darn good on the daily. A nice big wick, a little bit of green coming back into it. Let's see what happens. All right, guys, I'll leave you with that. Hopefully it's going to break out and we'll make some movement, and I'll manage that trade. But thanks for everybody's participation. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time, 12 Eastern. I think you get a good value from coming to Barry's room and then coming to listen to us midday. My alert just went off. I'll take that. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. I'm going to sign off now. Bye-bye.